Raider Nation, what's going on? It's Mitchell Renz here, host of the Raiders Report. And coming up on today's show, I'm going to be going through every single position and the top player that the Las Vegas Raiders should sign in 2024 NFL free agency. Here's some that all y'all need to put at the very top of your list. True Classic. You're trying to elevate your wardrobe? Go to trueclassic.com/chatsports, up to 25% off. That link's going to be available to y'all down in the comments and down in the description of today's show. So what I wanted to be able to do here is, obviously, Tom Telesco, Antonio Pierce, they're going to have a lot of decisions to make in free agency, and you can't just sign the big-name guy at every single position. So what I figured I would do here is, based off of needs, based off of money, tell you who's the number one player I would target for the Raiders at each position. As it stands right now that I'm making this video, salary cap space right here at about $43.37 million. You got 56 players signing. Plenty of team needs here for the Silver and Black. Your biggest need is quarterback, though I don't really want the Raiders to address this need and free agency, but if you got to do what you got to do, I understand it. Defensive tackle, offensive tackle, corner, offensive guard are the top five. I got center at 6, and the reason why that one's ranked a little bit lower is because Dylan Parham does have the ability to play center in a pinch. And then running back, tight end, linebacker, safety. If I had to add another one, it would probably be wide receiver. So coming up here, we're going to start on the defensive side of the football, and then we're going to transition into the offense. The final player that you will see in terms of who's the number one guy that I'm going to sign in free agency, final player is going to be at quarterback, so just stay tuned on that. If you love free agency like I do, to me it's some of the most fun that we have because you're adding new players. There's a lot of live shows in the month of March during this week time frame, and it's a really cool opportunity to get a lot of new eyeballs here on the Raiders Report. It's a really cool opportunity where we can make some really freaking awesome friendships. So if you believe Raider Nation's a family and you're as excited as this offseason as Chugs and I are, make sure you're subscribed. We're going to have a lot of fun. That I can guarantee. All right, let's go to the defensive end position here. This isn't a big-time need for Las Vegas, and DEs are a little bit more expensive. So I'm going to go with a guy that's got a relationship with Rob Leonard. It's not going to break the bank. Yes, I understand that Las Vegas needs to add some more depth here overall, but I also know that Andrew Van Ginkel has had an injury history this past year, but he's also coming off the best year of his career. And if it was up to me, we would have frickin' signed him last year. And I want somebody that's got that versatility. Like, Malcolm Kuntz can get after the quarterback. Van Ginkel can drop back into coverage. If you're looking for a little bit more depth, that's not going to break the bank. Andrew Van Ginkel is the guy that I'm going to be targeting. Let's go to the defensive tackle. This is where I am going to break the bank. This is where I'm getting out the checkbook. I'm going to like that old TV show or movie that I used to watch when I was a kid, Blank Check, and a kid writes $1 million on it. This one's might cost a little bit more money, but it is a big-time need for the Raiders. I mean, John Jenkins, Bilal Nichols, Adam Butler, all free agents. You're relying on a lot of unknown faces, so guess what? I'm going to head back down to Miami. I'm going to target Christian Wilkins, who, again, has that relationship with Rob Leonard, a dude that I think is going to end up signing a one-year prove-it deal. And because he's going to end up signing that one-year prove-it deal is why this is the dude that y'all need to target. But, like, let's be real. Any of these faces right here, I'm on board with. Like, any 5 of these names I could have put on this show because I want the Raiders to spend big at defensive tackle this year. Let's go to the cornerback position now. This is a very deep position in the NFL draft, and it's not one that I'm going to be willing to break the bank on because, again, if I got to pick between breaking the bank on a Jalen Johnson or somebody like Christian Wilkins, I'll spend big on Wilkins just because if you can get after the QB, it puts a little bit less pressure on your cornerbacks. But you got Nate Hobbs, you got Jack Jones. After that, there are a lot of unknowns, and I'm going to go with a dude that I just trust Patrick Graham and Antonio Pearson. If they told me, hey, trust me, Adoree Jackson is the guy that we're going to roll with, I'm going to trust him. What they were able to do with Jack Jones and turn him into the player what he is, if they're able to take another guy who had a career year with Patrick Graham back in 21 and coming off probably the worst year of his career, another dude probably willing to take a one-year prove-it deal, I adore this move, and I'm going to go get Adoree Jackson. If you want your significant other to adore you again, maybe let's just try to elevate your wardrobe a little bit. If you were lonely on Valentine's Day, I got something to help you out here a little bit. Because True Classic is hooking up the nation. True Classic is here to help make sure you don't spend all your nights by yourself. Get rid of the old ratty t-shirts and sweat stains and holes and upgrade your closet with True Classic. Yeah, nation, I'm talking to you. Whether that's Rebel Montana, David, Zahn, whoever is out there, I'm looking at you. True Classic's ultra comfortable, perfect fitting essentials range from fitted t-shirts, athleisure, jeans, sweaters, outerwear, and much more. True Classic has everything you need to hit the gym, take it slow, or treat yourself, maybe do a nice little date night. They have helped over 2 million men look great in their apparel, and now you can save big while you do so. For a limited time, get 25% off when you shop now with my exclusive link, trueclassic.com/chatsports. So if you're ready to upgrade your closet, shop now with my exclusive link at trueclassic.com/chatsports and save up to 25% off your first order. Make 2024 your most comfortable year yet with True Classic. And anytime I can find a sponsor that I used before they became a sponsor on the show, I recommend them through and through. I love wearing these shirts. I think they fit my body really well. Like, again, out to the gym. They're collared shirts they have for if there's any golfers out there. A bunch of my friends that are big-time golfers, once I've introduced them to True Classic, it's all day golfing. Go check it out. Links below. Go get started. Shout out to True Classic. Let's go to linebacker now. It's the next position that we're going to talk about here, and I've always been the guy that I don't spend big at linebacker. I look for versatility, and right now with the Raiders, they have Robert Spillane. I do think Luke Masterson, Divine Diablo are in for an intriguing year. You drafted Amari Burney last season. I know Butler is also a big-time favorite of Pierce dating back to their connections at Arizona State. But, like, to me, I'm going to try to find an upgrade a little bit that's better than a Luke Masterson. And I don't know exactly what's going to happen here with Divine Diablo. So you might have heard this name before. If it was up to me, the Raiders would have signed Drue Tranquill last season. Unfortunately, McDaniels and Ziegler did not listen to me, and would you look at it? Drue Tranquill's having himself hell of a year in Kansas City. If I can take somebody away from Kansas City, add him to my team, and it's going to cost me less than $6 million per year, I do think that's something that the Lesko AP have to at least keep in the back of their mind. So what I want you to do now is get into those comments. Name a sleeper free agent that the Raiders should target this year. And when I say sleeper, if I'm going to spend big at DT, well, then we got to be able to find a few other under-the-radar players, because to me, one of the biggest sleepers out there is this next name coming up right now. At the safety position, and safety, I know we're pretty well covered off with Merrick. You got Marcus Epps. And realistically, you're going to probably bring back Isaiah Palameo. You also have Chris Smith, who you drafted last season. I'm going to go with Alohi Gilman. And Gilman was a dude that had to step up for the Los Angeles Chargers this past season. And he's probably going to get a deal at like $2.5, $3 million. And if I'm Gilman, I go, why would I not want to go back with Telesco? Like, why would I not want to go with the dude that was able to find me out of Notre Dame, gave me a chance, and he succeeded? Like, does this guy have athletic ability? Not really. Like, I'm going to keep it a buck with y'all. He was just a really good fit, a very intelligent player, and I am basing this off of connections, basing this off of an extra depth player and somebody that I think we could get a little bit of a cheaper price. Let's now go to the offensive side of the football here. I'm looking at offensive tackle, and if I'm going to spend big this offseason on the O-line, I'm going to go more of the interior, because I like a lot more of the offensive tackles in the draft, and I think there's just a really, really good amount of OTs this year. So I'm going to go with my guy here, Jermaine Eluemunor. Bring him back. Put him at right tackle. He had a hell of a season this past year. Wants to remain in Las Vegas, wants to remain a Raider, and I think all of those things are very important. Coming off a career year, 16 games played, 5 sacks allowed, still needs to be able to get the penalties under wrap a little bit. Now, I'll admit, if you don't want to bring back Jermaine Eluemunor, maybe you decide to roll with Thayer Munford over there at the right tackle spot. Maybe you kick Colt Miller over to the right side and you draft somebody to be a left tackle. Like, Las Vegas has a lot of opportunities, and because there are a lot of opportunities, I would be willing to just bring a guy back. Jermaine's probably looking for $6 million per year is probably what he's going to end up getting on the open market. And coming off the year that he had, I'm telling you right now, you don't want to lose Jermaine Eluemunor. Let's go to offensive guard, the next spot here, and this is a position where, based off of the Raiders, this is probably where I'm going to spend a little bit more money, because you don't have Greg Van Roten, and also the offensive guards. Not that the offensive guards are bad in the draft. They're just not as strong in my book compared to the offensive tackle. So I'm going to go out and I'm going to get Robert Hunt, who played in 9 games last season, and he was a really solid all-around offensive lineman. He was a 77 grade according to PFF, did a good job in the offense or pass blocking, run blocking, physical type of dude. I think he fits the Luke Getsy system pretty damn well. Yes, he battled some injuries, 547 snaps, but Robert Hunt is the name I'm keeping in mind here. And guess what? I'm going to go with one of his teammates coming in here at center. Some of y'all might be surprised that I'm not sticking with Adoree James, but hear me out, and when I say Connor Williams. Connor Williams, actually, according to the PFF, was one of the best centers in the National Football League last season, but he also has the opportunity and the ability to play guard. So if I'm the Raiders here, if I want to go out and sign a guy like Robert Hunt, Well, then I would also like the idea of potentially signing a guy like Connor Williams and putting them right next to each other. The other opportunity is, let's say you miss out on a guy like Robert Hunt, but you could sign Connor Williams, and then you could say, all right, Connor, you're either going to play center or you're going to play guard, and you could say the exact same thing to Dylan Parham, just creating a little bit more flexibility for an offensive line that did lose their offensive line coach. That's why I got Connor Williams over Adoree James, and according to PFF, it's going to be a lot cheaper to sign Williams than it is Adoree James, so just something to keep in mind. We got a few more positions coming up here. I'm talking running backs, wide receivers, tight end, and quarterback, but remember to stay up to date on the Raiders, and if you're wondering what I'm doing in Paris, give me a follow on IG and on Twitter at MitchellRents365, and if any breaking news happens, my guy Jeremy Chuggs has got you covered. Give him a follow on Twitter at Jeremy Chuggs, and you should always just give Jeremy a follow. He's freaking hilarious. He does a lot of work here on the Raiders Report. Show my man some love, and he's going to turn up here. I can guarantee you that if any breaking news happens while I'm gone. Let's go to wide receiver now. This is the position that was maybe the most difficult for me because typically wide receivers cost a lot of money, but it's not a big-time need here for the Raiders. So I'm going to go in the middle. I'm going to go with Curtis Samuel. He is basically like a Trey Tucker type of receiver, but in a Luke Getsy offense, I anticipate a lot of underneath routes. I anticipate a lot of screens. He does have speed. So you add all that up, and a receiver that you're going to be able to get for less than $10 million per year, insert Curtis Samuel. Let's go to the running back position now, and there's two names that came to mind. First name is Austin Eckler. If you're the Raiders, you're like, do I bring back Eckler and reunite him with Tom Telesco? Or, to me, there's really only one name. If you're the Raiders and you're Antonio Pierce, and you said that Josh Jacobs is the heart and soul of this team, this would not be the route necessarily I would go in. It's more based off of if you're going to sign a running back. If it's up to me, I'm rolling with Zamir White and I'll draft a running back. But if you're like, no, we're signing a back in free agency, I do think it sends a bad message to your team by not bringing back Jacobs, and then you're going to go out and pay another running back like $6 or $7 million per year. I just don't think it's what Antonio Pierce should do, which is why he's on this list. Let's go to the tight end room now, and this is the name that I think is going to surprise everyone. I know it surprised Jeremy, but to me, I'm so confident in Michael Mayer being that dude that the tight end that I'm going to sign is not going to be a pass catcher. It's going to be a run blocker, and that's why I'm going to roll with Marcedes Lewis here. So Marcedes Lewis has had some past ties with Luke Getsy. He also was on the Chicago Bears this past season, and he did a hell of a job with Getsy being a run blocker there. So I'm going to throw out Marcedes Lewis as just more of a blocker, pass blocking, run blocking, gives you that option. Big guy who can help out maybe Michael Mayer understand the Getsy offense a little bit more. Because at the end of the day, if 100 targets go to the tight end position, I want all 100 to go to Michael Mayer. I don't want it to go to your secondary tight end because Austin Hooper's not going to be around next season. He's a free agent. Which now brings us to the quarterback position. If the Raiders are going to sign a quarterback, there is one name and one name only that they should sign, because you're not going to sign a QB unless they can legitimately compete for your team. So if the Raiders end up signing a free agent quarterback, who should it be? If Russell Wilson is a free agent at the time this video goes out, then there are two names. It is Russell Wilson, and it is this man right here. It is Kirk Cousins. And I know I've had a lot of stances on Cousins because I want the Raiders to draft a QB. However, if there is a 0% chance that you can trade up, Devontae Adams gave you the okay. Yeah, he's going to be injured. I'm not going to overpay him. Like, it's not going to be a $40 million deal. I'm going to base this off of what PFF projected, $30 million per year. I do think that's a little bit underwhelming, but if I told you right now, you could get Kirk Cousins at $30 million a year, you put him on a 2-year deal, and then you draft a quarterback. Maybe it's like a Bo Nix, because this is the route that I think the Raiders are going. You draft Bo Nix, you let him learn behind Cousins for 2 years, then you hand the keys to the car to Nix in his 3rd season and kind of go the whole Green Bay Packer route. I think that's the way Luke Getsy wants this whole thing to go. So one more time here, my top free agent targets at each position. I got Andrew Van Ginkel, Christian Wilkins, Adoree Jackson, Drue Tranquill, Alohi Gilman. On the offensive side, Jermaine Eluemunor, Robert Hunt, Connor Williams. And these are not my top players at each position. It's just the player that I would target for the Raiders based off of how much money I want to spend on each position. Wide receivers, Curtis Samuel. Running back, Josh Jacobs. Tight end, Marcedes Lewis. And then quarterback is Kirk Cousins. If there's a certain player that you're like, Mitch, this is the guy that the Raiders should target, let me know. If you like this exercise and you want to go through and rank your top guy that you would target at each position, let me know down in the comments or just tag me on social media. I'll have some free time this week to check them out.